Again, welcome back for those who joined us. We will now continue the afternoon with another very interesting Fireside Chat that will be in English. Just as a reminder, for those who are in person, you can listen to the translation on Channel 1, Canal 1, si vous voulez de la traduction en français, to talk about the financial service industry, to evolve from financing the transition to becoming the spearhead of change. Please welcome Courtney Holm, Gianluca Riccio, Stanislas Lédignan, and Stanislas, you are from Capgemini as well as Courtney, and finally Gianluca, you are from the OECD. The floor is yours.
So thank you very much. We are very happy to be there today, and I must admit that it's always a little bit difficult to be at the end of the day and not to repeat what has been said. So first, let me thank you, Courtney. She's leading our sustainability solutions in the UK, and Gianluca will speak about some research he has been doing with the OECD, because what we want to stress today is going down and deeper on two elements that we have shared today. The first one is, yes, we need to acknowledge that the FSI have made a tremendous job in the past 7 years since the Paris Agreement. Although it's not fast enough, it's not enough impactful, and we need to do much better. And the much better is in probably the idea of breaking the silos, in working together, in creating ecosystem. So this is where we want to deepen a little bit the conversation, and Courtney has a previous life. Of course, before joining Capgemini, she worked notably at Procter & Gamble in, Procter.
Unilever. Close.
Of course. as the Chief Sustainability of Technology Officer. And so she can bring this outside-in vision of what the clients of the financial industry are looking for. So first question for you, Courtney, today is, what is it behind this idea of ecosystem creation?
We all know that multilateral engagement and cross-sector collaboration is critical for driving change. Like, we get it. It's critical for signing documents and for bringing people together to create frameworks. It's happened quite a lot in my time at Unilever. We did a lot of this activity, but also I see it now in our clients and how we work, and they realize and understand that the requirement is to come together. Now, however, one of the things that we do also understand is that we need action. We need to focus on solutions. And a lot of the time, we don't see that. We don't see it happening. For me, one of the things that we have to be very cognizant of is to have common data models, and alongside those frameworks and agreements, to have action plans with clear guidance that everyone is aligned and happy to participate in. And it's clearly what's missing, because we see people going off and having hundreds of initiatives that don't ladder up to any true commitments, and then we find that we're investing in the wrong solutions and the wrong technologies that aren't going to advance change at the pace we need. I think for me, one of the things that, that struck a chord this week, so on Wednesday, we saw that 333 companies came together to sign an agreement, to decide that nature is important. Well, hello. Of course nature is important. We are a part of nature, and I think we've forgotten that as well. So
nature is important, data at the heart. So what you're saying is basically we have been working on a very difficult topic until now, which was climate, but now we have an even more complex word in front of us, which is working on what we discussed a little bit today, the planetary boundaries. How will we succeed? Can we succeed? Or is it too difficult a task?
So this concept of the planetary boundaries emerged quite a few years ago. It's not a new thing for us at the moment. But what we're starting to understand is that the complexity about how these systems relate to one another. So if one system fails, another system will fail as well. Not too dissimilar to our supply chains, really. So when you start thinking about what's happening right now, you see one part of the economy break, other parts of the economy start to fall down. Well, natural systems are quite similar in that as well. So again, coming back to solutions and activities that ladder up to real change, we have to be mindful that we're leveraging expertise in these spaces so that we're not focusing on the things that don't change the needle. I'm not sure that we can get back biodiversity that we've lost, but I think we have to get into regenerative and protecting the little bit of ecosystems that are still intact at all cost, really. And we have to prioritize our activities so that we're protecting what's left of nature, because surprisingly, there's not much, to be quite clear. And I think that that's evident in the planetary boundaries that we're very quickly exceeding.
Thank you, Courtney. So we have investigated quite quickly the what, but now, Gianluca, the question is also to see the how. Can you tell us a little bit how we could work on that successfully?
Yes, the question of how is quite interesting, given how late we are in the day. Let me start by something a bit lighter. 3 years ago, in 2019, I bought a laptop, quite a cool laptop. Children loved it, and was highly sustainable, using recycling part, great. What impact did it have on the overall environment? Nothing. A few months later, COVID exploded. I started to use that laptop to work, to talk with friends, to do everything. At that point, that laptop really made a difference. So it's not so much the laptop per se, but it's how we use what we have that makes the difference. So the how is dramatically important, is not by coincidence on the slide, is the elephant in the room. So how we make it happen? Now, the work we have done, I work at Lloyds Banking Group, but I also work as vice chair of the finance committee at the Business-at-OECD. And at OECD with the G20, we have been thinking about how this significant amount of monies that come into the in the investment, in the sustainable investment and so on, can actually deliver something that is enduring, that is genuinely sustainable, and actually can help the economy to grow in a situation that, an environment, an economic environment that is very difficult. And one proposal, one thinking approach is what we call the sustainable growth propeller. So to propel, there are 3 main directions to think about it. There is the need of stability, there is the productivity, and there is the economic growth. So when we think about a project for sustainable finance, that project will go most likely to a large firm that will employ it. But in order to operate, it has to filter down to SMEs, through value chains, and ultimately to employment. At that point, it really generates something that is enduring. But how to do that? And the how comes along these 3 lines. In terms of stability, we see a massive growing of regulations about sustainability, ESG. Okay, fine, dear governments, do any regulation you want, but one. Implement it as one, globally consistent, consistent across policies. You cannot have an infrastructure policy and a retail policy that are totally in contradiction to each other, because then the firm have to run twice for the same objective. In terms of productivity, those projects can generate an ecosystem that actually is more fluid and can leverage on the digital technology. Just let's think about something simple. All contracts, to be legally valid, need to be wet signed. How contradictory is to do a sustainable investment that you need paper to sign on it? So, but legally, if you don't wet sign, it's not valid. So, is this contradiction that can actually help firms to operate more efficiently through payments, through accelerate payments? The technology exists. The framework exists. It's a question of using it. It's a question of creating digital passport that can, where the data of the firms can be verified, and the firms don't have to reapply again and again for the same thing. And then the economy. This filters down to the economy, because the moment you permit this project to trigger and employ in an efficient way down through the value chains, they generate employment. That employment across all the countries, this morning we were hearing, environment does not have border, gases do not have borders. It's absolutely true. The economy, if it doesn't work everywhere, is not going to be sustainable. So you need to get to all levels in order to build up. And by the way, if we look about the economic environment today, what are we facing? We are out of a pandemic that has a significant impact, which required a massive fiscal support from governments. So bottom line, governments don't have much money to use. From a monetary policy, there is inflation to fight. So monetary policy is the only area where actually significant work can be done is productivity, is efficiency. And the tools are there. It's a question of connecting them. Connecting not just at the top level of the banks or the large corporates, but all of it, including the SMEs, down to the employment. Very fast, but...
Yes, Gianluca, thank you. So what you would describe with this model is that the FS industry is really at the heart of this ecosystem, or should be at the heart of this ecosystem, should get out of their natural boundaries, I would say, and be the connecting point between the governments, the corporates, and maybe some other banks and insurance company.
Yes, absolutely yes. That connecting and that ability to look at 360 degrees is critical. We cannot achieve the goals of the SDGs as set by the UN, all these objectives, if we look at each one by one, if we try to tackle each topic on a standalone basis. The things are connected and need to be addressed connected. So back to the beginning, the what, something needs to be clarified. But bottom line, it's clear what is the what. Is the how the problem. And unless we address the how, and unless we address the how connecting the pieces, and that comes, we don't have to wait for the government or whatever government, the G20, to tell us what to do. Every firm can do it. Every firm can connect the pieces that relate to them. When you do the financing, you can connect, okay, I finance this and connects to what? And in terms of the paperwork, again, contradiction in terms, sustainability with paper, one or the other. So is that connectivity that is the critical lever to use.
And so in fact, I think we are all human beings. It raises also probably a question for us. We are all executives or leaders in our firms. I think it's also something that is questioning our individual role. Is the system will not connect by itself. It will connect through people. So it's a little bit of what is it that we are going to do as individuals to break the silos, to open the doors, to smash the walls. And I think
I think also to be critical friends, right? We see a lot of organizations doing things that aren't practical. You know, they're asking the wrong questions. They have the wrong KPIs. They're focusing on putting the money in the wrong places. Capital flow is an indicator of progress. So I think also being critical friends is really important, and it's something that we can all do.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you to Gianluca, safe trip back, and thank you to all of you, because I do believe that this kind of gathering is exactly what we were mentioning, the necessity for us to connect, and this necessity for each and every of us to act. A last word?
No, just thank you for your attention, and yes, events like today are about connectivity, and that is the first step that we need to take.
Thank you, Gianluca.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Bye-bye.